where the campfire light meets the dark of night. Mysterious creatures move in the shadows. To some, they remain the subjects of folklore, but those who have encountered them know they are real. So it's a beautiful morning up here in the mountains of West Virginia. We're at the Monongahela.
Hey, you said it correctly.
Yeah.
I'm impressed.
State Forest.
Yes.
Lake Sherwood.
National Forest.
National Forest.
Yeah.
Lake Sherwood Campground.
Yep.
Right?
Exactly.
And we came up here last night, and the thing was they have a big gate across the road, and they lock it at night.
But that's not the bad thing. The bad thing is that they don't tell you that anywhere
Right.
on the website. Anywhere. I looked all over the place. Nowhere does it say anything about the freaking gate being closed.
No. But it's closed 9 to 7.
Yep.
So we slept at the Loves, woke up surrounded by mountains.
Yeah.
Beautiful area.
It was.
Yeah.
Got some glazed donuts and coffee, and
Fed a couple to the dog.
yeah, we have the dog.
Yeah.
So
We had to bring Taco because we have an open house right now going on over the weekend. So all the pets and everything had to be gone.
Yep. So he's in the Bronco.
Yeah,
We're
sleeping.
gonna take him camping
Yeah.
for one night now. So All right, here's the check-in center, and taking a look at Lake Sherwood, the map.
Look, here's our entrance. That's where we are.
Uh-huh.
This is our campsite over here.
Oh,
See that?
nice on the far. I didn't realize it was this big
Over
from
there.
the map last night.
No, it's pretty big.
Yeah. And what do we have over here? It says, welcome, a family destination
Ooh.
since 1959.
Look at the picture from
That
1959.
is pretty cool. Look at the old cars coming in there.
Yeah.
Wow. Perhaps a Chevy Impala, perhaps not. Lake Sherwood today.
It contains over 18 miles of non-motorized hiking trails, so we can't bring the mini bike up here. That's
Right,
what
right.
I'm saying.
So, no motorbikes.
Yeah.
Make your visit safe and fun. Top 10 ranger rules. We don't have to be quiet till 11 p.m. That's pretty cool. They have some swimming here too. Look at the bear sitting on this guy eating his picnic basket. It's like a fat version of Yogi. Please don't feed the wildlife. Now, if I see that cute cuddly bear coming up in there, I don't know. Maybe we'll feed the dog to him. Now this is pretty cool. We got a Lake Sherwood Smokey the Bear sign. Go stick your face in there, kid, and we'll take a picture. So here's our campsite, and it's got quite a big parking area for 2 cars. Kind of panning around here. You can see the other campsites. Not incredibly close. Not as close as some campgrounds that you go to, that's for sure. There's the Bathhouse, so it's a short walk from Site 86. That's where we're staying. So already experiencing some of the wildlife. Got a little caterpillar there. And is that a hawk moth caterpillar? No, let's say? Would they say something about the stripes on the caterpillar can predict the weather?
What?
Yeah, you ever heard of that? The stripes on the caterpillar determines the weather?
On a woolly bear?
No, on a hawk moth caterpillar.
I don't know what a hawk moth. I think you're making that crap up.
That's a true thing.
Yeah, I don't think you have any idea what you're talking about. I think it's just
it's
totally made
definitely a
up.
thing.
No. And then I could start working on our tent. Good boy. I like camping.
Here you go, kid. Look at that,
It looks fancy.
Yeah, bacon and eggs with peppers and seasonings.
Those are my favorite peppers.
So you see, the trick is, kid, is this. You cook the bacon first, right? And in camping, sometimes you have the bare necessities. We never bring anything to grease the pan with. So you cook the bacon first, and then you cook the eggs in the bacon grease. And it gives the eggs that extra bacon flavor, and it also greases up the pan so the eggs don't stick to it. So this is kind of like camping 101. And what I do is I cook everyone's meals separate. It only takes a couple of minutes, because you can see I just threw this bacon in and it's already getting ready to be flipped. But I cook everyone's meals separate. So I'll throw in 2 pieces of bacon, stick them on the plate, do 2 eggs, season them up, peppers in there, ready to go.
All right, so this is what our finished product looks like this morning. And you can see the peppers in there and everything. Now, one good thing I was thinking would be nice is to be able to dice up some potatoes, very small, like finely diced tomatoes and put it, or potatoes and put in here too.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, make it a whole like.
We could make them kind of like, not home fries, more like hash browns in the bacon grease.
Oh, yeah.
That's something we're gonna have to do. So this is what the bathhouse looks like here in our camping loop. Kind of nestled in the trees here. We got a little bulletin board with some rules and warnings. Fireworks are prohibited. Gray water disposal. Sounds scary. And some more cool things around the back here. Notice a lot of bear warnings too. Here's some helpful info. Never attempt to feed a bear. Do not bring food into your tent. Seal bags of garbage and dispose in a receptacle. If you encounter a bear along a trail or in a camp, do not approach. Make loud noises to discourage a bear from attacking. Never come between cubs and a mother bear. Keep pets on leashes when in bear country. All right, so here's what we're looking at as far as bathrooms. A couple of sinks, 2 stalls, that's a good thing. And here are the showers. So these are the kind of amenities you have here. All right, nice mirror in the showers. I got a smaller one with a bench, and there's the shower area in there. I imagine that light comes on at night. Probably a couple of skeeters in here. And this one's a little bigger. This one's a handicap stall. So the bathrooms, they're very clean. Definitely have to give them a 5-star. I will say that the water is ice cold. There's no hot option. And I don't mind that because it's kind of refreshing, especially in the morning. You go in there and splash some of that ice cold water on your face. And I'll tell you, if you've never been to the mountains, you've never experienced cold water. Like, water comes out of the faucets ice cold. And I mean, this is stuff that down in the city, people pay money for. You know, to have ice in their water and to have it that cold, put in the refrigerator, all that stuff. Here, nope, comes right out of the faucet, ice cold. So I was at Walmart down in Yorktown. And I was walking down to the camping area and I saw some Frisbees. And it reminded me of something I saw earlier. And I had to go back and get it for this camping trip. It's a glow-in-the-dark 50 strong Frisbee. Love it because it's got the American flag, and I love all things that glow in the dark. You know, there's all kinds of cool toys and such, and outdoor activities that you can do that they're making now. They have like light up cornhole, or light up lights for the cornhole, light up lawn darts, all kinds of fun things for night.
Yeah.
So I had to pick between this and an LED Frisbee, and I thought the LED one, I wasn't sure how durable that would be. I know that the glow in the dark one doesn't have anything electronic on it, anything that can really break, or no batteries that need to be replaced. So good old fashioned glow in the dark flying disc.
Yeah, and also that would be really cool if we could, when we go down to the beach to go swimming later on today, if we play Frisbee with that again, bring it again.
We might be able to do that. Oh, it flies kind of nice. I'm not the best at throwing a Frisbee by any means, but it does have a nice sail to it. Go ahead, give it a toss. Oh yeah, right into the tree. But what's cool is it's got this rubber grip around the outside. So it's kind of like a bumper, and it's also like kind of easy to catch. If it hits you in the face, it doesn't really hurt.
And I can't wait, I'm so excited. It's actually getting hot.
Yeah, right across from our campsite, it's got a water fountain and a place to collect some water. And I always like to bring this Coleman beverage cooler with me. It's a great thing to hold water. Sometimes I'll take it on the trail and just carry it along and chug water along the way. But most of the time I'll use it for a campsite, and I'll wash hands or fill cups with it, whatever, make coffee. So we got another encounter with the local wildlife here. We have this caterpillar that's crawling up my arm here. It's getting a little bit tangled up in the arm hair though, I think. Linda, what kind of caterpillar is this, perhaps?
I have no idea. I would like to look it up, but we have no self-service.
We don't. He's perhaps a gypsy moth caterpillar, but that's just a guess, and I'm not sure if you can still say gypsy.
He looks he looks like a baby. Like, he doesn't look like he's very old. I feel like I've seen ones that look like that are much bigger.
You better hurry up before he goes.
He does.
Look at those little antennas working.
Yeah,
though.
he's going
busy.
fast now.
He's gonna get up in your sleeve.
Yeah, I better stop him. Whoa! There's Scott. Scott, what are you doing here?
I'm coming to camp with you guys.
Oh, cool. I see you got a hat there.
Yeah, so I converted this modern style hat into a traditional tricorn hat. I like history, so I got some buttons up here. This one is the American flag.
Right.
This one is the West Virginia state seal,
Oh, nice.
and then one in the back, and it's a little bit of a message for terrorism.
No tolerance for terror. Nice.
Yeah. So yeah, modern day patriot.
I like it.
So I'm starting to trying to make a new trend here. I don't know if it'll catch on, probably won't, but
Yeah. See, I don't know why tricorn hats ever went out of style.
no, me either. That's the kind of history nobody talks about, all the fashions that keep coming and going.
Right.
And,
Like cowboy hats.
Yeah.
They haven't changed.
No. Right. Yeah. They haven't
You know, the
changed.
Chinese, they keep those things that they wear that look kind of like the flying saucers.
Yeah.
But
And yeah. And then so I have at home I actually have a somewhat of a cowboy hat. It's more of a beach cruising hat, but it has a big wide brim like this. And I wear that at the house outside for the sun. And the same concept of the sombrero. So
right, like the urban sombrero.
the urban sombrero.
Nice,
That's
nice.
right. Yeah.
you
Except
have
I'm
a-
in the suburbs, so it's more of a suburban sombrero for me. But
Now you have a plethora of other hats here too, I see.
oh yes. So we got this is just kind of a lightweight hat. Sometimes I wear this at work, this style. And then I got the boonie hat. This is more of a cottony style, and I can get it wet in the river or in a stream. If I'm out hiking, I can put it back on my head like that, and it'll keep my head nice and wet. And then
Hopefully your head doesn't go in the
at nighttime, if it gets cold, I got a little wool cap here. I can wear it like this,
You
Keeps my noggin nice and warm.
Nice, nice. People don't realize what the importance is of a variety of
No, they don't.
hats.
And then when you go on safaris like this, when you look for Bigfoot, you got the pith hat.
Nice.
Yeah, looks it. I think, yeah, this is on the right way. Yeah. So the back is just a little bit longer than the front on the brim.
Yeah, why is that?
I don't know.
Keeps the rain from pouring on
You'd
your
have to
neck.
ask the British. They started this thing.
Yeah, it keeps the rain off your back a little bit.
And,
better, off the back of your neck.
Yeah. Keeps the back of your neck so you don't become more of a redneck, I suppose.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No. And I got a little chin strap in case it gets a little bumpy out there. If Bigfoot wants to pick me up by my head, it'll just strangle me, I guess. I don't know. So there you have it.
Nice. Definitely some necessities.
Yeah, yeah. Also, I brought some old vintage stuff from the military, and didn't really get it ready yet, but my concept for looking for Bigfoot is, well, it also kind of goes with bears. So you gotta have some equipment with you, and you got some pouches here. This is not for ammunition. For me, I have a different style of dump and run. So I have snacks in here, and this one's big enough for like a burrito even. You could stick a burrito in there. What bear or Bigfoot would resist a burrito? If you stick it out there, take a bite, and throw it. Toss it like a grenade. And then you
idea.
run the opposite way. Perfect distraction. There you go.
Yeah, you got the extra energy you need from the burrito to run,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, you
meanwhile
gotta
he's
have one last
distracted.
bite before you throw the burrito. Kind of like a grenade where you pull the pin and then you lob it.
Right, right.
So
You
that
just
begs
take
the
a bite.
question,
And then you lob it.
what kind of burritos do bears like best?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Would they like chicken? Would they like steak? Bean and cheese? I don't know. That is a good question.
I don't think they'd be too picky,
I don't think they would either.
especially being how they have to lock the dumpsters around here.
Yeah, right. So that's my my tactic for Bigfoot expeditions.
All right, so we had some hot dogs here for lunch, and this is the last one that's left. But Scott, you came up with this idea, huh?
Yeah, well, we had a shortage of utensils, and so we got to be a little creative and innovative. And I had an idea after the fact when I was with my hot dog bun. I was kind of pinching it, you know. I was like, man, I wish I used that pepper and fashioned it in a way where I could scoop the macaroni. So luckily me, there's another one left. So
The cursed one.
check this out. You can fashion it. You can eat a little bit of the pepper just like that, and then you suck it right out.
That's pretty good.
Now
Yeah.
keep in mind that that pepper was dropped by Jeff about 2 or 3 times in the dirt before.
Yeah, Linda's not just saying that to be funny. Like, she said it was a cursed pepper, and I couldn't keep it between the tongs.
Yeah, he kept dropping it 3-4 times, and we put it back on the fire to sanitize it, you know.
But on that note, you know I do have some spoons over there, right?
Oops.
We're down here at the lake area, and the road you're looking at, this is the way we came in. We came down this road from the campsites, and when you make a left, there's a cool little payphone right there in the corner, because we're on the perimeter of a radio silence zone from a observatory town, a town that has an observatory in it out here in West Virginia, and the whole town doesn't use Wi-Fi, cell phones, anything. It's like going back in time. It's pretty cool. So we're looking at this end of the lake where there's some boat rentals and such, and then going down, there's a neat little bridge that crosses over a portion of the lake to this island where apparently there's some cool fishing spots and such. And we're gonna check out the beach and perhaps take a swim. All right, a little bit of wind down here by the lake, but we're checking out this bridge. Goes up to a little island. And I said the lady told us there's some nice fishing spots over the other side and stuff. But here's the swimming area. Another island out there. I'm not sure if we can swim out to that island.
What is that? Look at that thing.
And then there's the beach. So what do you say, Scott? You gonna go dive or what?
I'm gonna go slow. I don't know if it's
Take it
cold or
slow.
not.
It's probably gonna be cold.
Yeah, they go slow.
All right. I think we just got to run in like this. Come on.
I don't want to do it. Should I do it? It's cold. It's like really cold.
Oh, you think of putting your head under?
Yeah.
Ready? Here we go. Heads under. Woo! Oh man.
Oh yeah, it's not salty at all.
See, that's refreshing. And like, you used to swimming in the York River?
Yeah, and like coming up with a bunch of salt in your mouth and
Yeah.
stuff like that.
But this is like, it's clear water.
It's freezing.
Very refreshing.
It's not quite as cold as those mountain streams, but it's pretty cold. It'll cure some pains, and I can't feel that bug bite on my ankle right now, that's for sure.
Crippled.
Yeah, it is. This would be a good lookout point at night. Like if you had some night vision goggles, you come down here and just kind of stake it out. Imagine all the animals that could probably come out of the woods over there to the lake to get a drink and stuff.
You're coming prepared. We gotta get some stuff to put in here.
Oh yeah, forgot that was
What are we gonna use?
there. Get it in there.
We gotta get some.
So Scott, what do you say? Want to go on a little hike?
No, I'm not feeling like.
How about for a Scooby snack? Huh?
I don't know.
Not even for a Scooby snack? How about 2 Scooby snacks?
Let's go.
Yeah, that's right. So we hear tell that there's Bigfoot in these parts, and there's been quite a few sightings in the area. We talked to some children down at the lake, and they said they'd never seen him. And then we heard what we thought was Bigfoot trying to break into a dumpster, but it turned out that it was some girl fighting with her toothless boyfriend in a porta potty. But we're still gonna head out along this trail that goes out the back of our campsite here and head off into the mountain just a little ways to kind of see what we can see, to see if there's any signs that Bigfoot may come through this area. And what's cool, one of the reasons that we picked this campsite is because it's right at the foot of this path. Like, this campsite is at the back of the park. It's one of the last campsites in the loop, so it's right here on the outskirts of the campground. And everything beyond here is just mountains. It's just woods, wilderness, if you will.
This is a peaceful mission. Instead of bullets, got Scooby snacks lined up, ready.
Oh yeah, you gotta show Bigfoot that you're on a mission of peace, right?
That's right.
Unless he's really hungry and then like comes after you and you can't get the Scooby snacks out of your vest.
I'll just be rolling around on the ground, and maybe one will fall out. That could be a life and death situation.
I gotta highlight, Scott, you're wearing a throwback VAPI shirt there. That's pretty cool. That's the VAPI shirt from circa 2009.
Yeah.
So it's pretty amazing that thing has held up for 13 years.
Yeah. Yep. Still holding good.
So we've come down here. There is a little bit of a creek bed, and I'm suspecting this is probably much more water through here when it rains really hard. But right now, it's just a little bit of a trickling stream. But it's a perfect place to come and look for Bigfoot prints, because there are certain muddy spots right along here. Lots of ferns, which would, of course, obscure our view of any tracks along the outside edges of the creek. But might as well take a look here and see what we can find in this little crossing.
Yeah, and I already do see, as we're looking here, some prints over here.
Prints.
Look at something that walked through here. Look at this. Okay, it was something that had some claws on it.
Yeah.
You can see if I can get maybe a little stick here to kind of point, right? You can see another one here. It had, let's move this leaf here.
Yep.
Right? This might have been a raccoon.
I'm guessing those are
Yep.
raccoon tracks.
It was something fairly, it had some weight to it.
Yeah.
But this, you know.
Yeah, it definitely did, but I don't see any claw out to the side, like a little thumb or a D-claw.
No.
Canine would
This one
have.
almost looks like a little foot, like a little Bigfoot.
Yep.
And look at the water. It just kind of comes down here and it goes underground.
Ooh, that's kind of cool.
And then it pops up
Pops out over there.
down the other side.
Yep, this is the road I was talking about. It is a road.
Yep.
An old one?
Actual road.
I don't know, it might just be one of their trails, but I could tell it was something over here.
Is that scat?
It does
Yep.
look like some hair-covered. And if Bigfoot were a vegetarian, perhaps it would look like this.
No, there's too much fur in it, see? See right around
But
the
that could
sides
just-
here, that's fur.
That could just be like mold that grew on it, right?
No, that's something that it ate. It's been eating bunnies and stuff. Yeah.
I wonder what the dog ate the other day, because his turd had some fur on it.
And what was it Janet told us? She said something about coyotes. Like coyote scat will have fur in it.
Really?
Quite often, yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Because bears are a little more omnivorous, I guess. They, are not going to eat anything big. Maybe the occasional bug by accident because it's on a plant. So we also have to look for tree formations while we're going through here. There are a lot of fallen trees, a lot of things that would have come down, but we have to look for ones that would not have been possibly man-made. And, trees leaning together in a certain way, that's kind of what we're looking for. I don't know. That looks like it could have been very natural.
There's one fallen from that side, one fallen from that side, and the other fallen from that side.
Yeah, that's true.
There's also some more chickens.
So much growing here that it's hard to pick out the oh, look at the purple flowers.
Another bridge.
Without any of
The water.
poison ivy or poison oak out of here.
Probably
Look
near
how pretty the water is.
Yeah, the water goes right under the trail here and out the other side.
Look, is that being dead? Is that like a black one?
Where are you looking?
Right there.
Hold on. See, something like this is a little bit interesting. Now, mind you, this is old, but you can see where that one tree just happened to fall right in the crook of this other tree, these two trees that have formed together. That seems a little bit interesting to me, just because, of all the ways that this thing could have fallen. And really, if you look at the other trees that have fallen in this area, none of the other ones fell in this direction.
There are a lot of trees falling in this area too.
There are, which could be a tree blight. But normally when that happens, they'll come through and they'll find all the trees that have that blight, and they'll cut them all down and get rid of it so that it doesn't spread to the other trees. But that's kind of an interesting thing right there. So that small creek that we heard back there turned into a big one. And I kind of want to walk over and take a look at it. I have to watch those steps because there's a lot of fallen trees.
Something different's coming from that way.
Yeah,
Look at how
this
pretty
is
it
something
is.
different.
Look at how pretty it is underneath
It is. Very
it.
clear.
It's always been out here.
Yeah, me too. Like I would definitely hang out under the mountain laurel if I were a Bigfoot.
And look at how squared off one of those rocks is that's in there.
Yeah, sure is.
I want
Those
mountain laurel.
shadows. Beautiful. Beautiful indeed.
So they say for hiking, when you're out in the woods like this, it's good to wear some kind of a hiking boot that has kind of a over the ankle coverage, snake bites, poison ivy, all kinds of different things you could encounter. What I chose to go with here is the New Balance All Terrain. And I initially got these as a running shoe, but they were uncomfortable. It wasn't like, I love New Balance. These weren't the most comfortable New Balance. They were more comfortable than any other shoe that I had, but as far as New Balance goes, no. So I decided to use them for hiking, playing soccer, stuff like that. They're very lightweight. They are comfortable on the bottom of the foot, but the only problem I have with them is you see when I go to tighten them, it bunches up right here. See, that comes in right there. So they can't pull tight enough together for me to really give me the support that I need. But I'm using these for hiking because it says all terrain, and as far as I'm concerned, this is terrain. So the DeWalt, not DeWalt, what is it? The Cat shoes that I have, the boots, they're just not good for long distance. By the time I'm done, my back is hurting, and they're not as comfortable as some of the other hiking boots I've had, but they're comfortable work boots.
You need some Merrells?
Yes. I hear Merrell, I've never tried them,
Yeah.
but I hear they're pretty good.
I forget the brand that I have, but they are excellent.
Yeah.
The brand that I have is not one I'd heard of before, but they were great.
Redhead made a very comfortable hiking boot.
Yes.
And I wore that for quite some time until basically the bottom fell off it. Speaking of terrain, this is something you're going to want to be aware of when you're out in a place like this. This is a tick that's crawling on my leg right here. And these things, when they get in you, they're not the most comfortable. They can start cause some itching, right? You got to pull them out sometimes.
Yeah, those things suck.
And sometimes you don't know they're there until they start itching. Like, you really got to search for these things. And imagine this being down in your scalp, right? It would be very hard to find. So you got to be very careful with these guys.
Around your balls.
And yes, that would be uncomfortable as well. But I'm going to toss him back over here and let him go on living his life. Because there's no reason. I mean, if they're in the house, you probably don't want to let them go in the house because they can carry diseases and stuff like Lyme disease.
Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever.
Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever. You ever heard that song? Got the Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever blues.
Jeff had never heard of it when I told him about it. He thought that I was kidding. And it is a real
haven't
thing.
heard of it. No.
It is a real
I
thing.
told her it sounded like a bluegrass song. I'm not sure that is a real song. It just kind of, yeah.
Sounded like a good tune.
So it could be a good one. Like you got the Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever blues because you got that Rocky Mountain Spotted Fever and it's no good.
No.
It's fatal.
You want to have it. It's like tuberculosis, only
man.
like worse.
Man.
I don't know about tuberculosis. I don't know what the symptoms are per se, but my mom had a friend whose daughter died of it. So people do die of it.
Ah,
This is cool.
Okay, so this.
I don't know. Is it a bridge or was it maybe?
this was an old dam.
You think so?
Yeah.
Fairly confident.
That's got to be it.
That would be kind of cool to get down to the water over here. Look at all the mud around the water.
Look at this.
We could figure out a way to get down there.
Yeah, that would be a little tricky, huh?
Yeah. Wow, this is so cool.
This is Bigfoot country if I've ever seen it.
Hey, I think if you guys come around this way, I think I found a way through here.
Like, I'm fairly certain if you stood here all night, you would see Bigfoot come across here. Like, can't you just see him, like envision him coming across this scene right here in front of us?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's so overgrown.
Yeah.
But yeah, it looks like the places you would see him hanging out.
It almost looks like the area that infamous picture of him was, that footage, that old video
Yeah.
of him walking out in kind of like a open area like this.
Yep, it would be like if he was walking along across the other side of the creek over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had to go all the way around this chunk of Mountain Laurel here.
Oh man.
There's 2 metal posts, like new posts, that would have parking signs on them,
Oh yeah?
sticking up out of the ground over here too.
Huh.
No signs left on them, but look how beautiful that is.
I like to walk through this.
Along the bank here if I could, but like it's so wet.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna sink down if you step into this stuff.
I'm not sure if there's actually
A good place.
more of a
for
trail
that.
to follow or not.
I know. But this is like perfect Bigfoot country right here.
Yeah.
Like where you find them walking across here.
Yeah. We were just talking about that.
Yeah.
Like that infamous video of him walking.
Yeah.
How was it like this?
Something like that. You talking about the Patterson Gimlin film?
Yeah.
So we're not entirely sure where the trail is that heads down to the lake and up into the mountains. Seems that this that we've been walking along has just been an old road that kind of dead ends down there. So we're gonna go back up into the campground area and speak with some of the locals and see if we can perhaps find out where this path is, or trail I should say. That goes into the mountain.
This map is actually something to be scaling.
Right.
It looks like I don't know if that's the distance we walked over to there, because what we took ended up taking us right back to number 90 or something. So something further out there from us, we might have to go down this road to access it closer from 76 or something, or to the boat launch. Okay.
So we've got another little critter here, some kind of an inchworm. On my love's cup.
So we're taking an alternate route. The map kind of threw us off a little bit, so we're just gonna walk down the road here until we find a trail, like a normal person does. Yeah, it looks kind of like a foot trail right down
Oh, I see a bridge.
Look at that.
there. On the road again. I just can't wait to get back on the road again.
This would be a pretty picture right here, baby.
Yeah, would be.
Yeah, so those are our markers, the little blue triangle. And these things here. So what's that? That's the footpath that goes up into the mountains, and this is the one that goes around the lake? That's what I'm thinking. So where was this?
Looks like we got some names carved in here. Oh, and this one has some years on it. 04, maybe?
Okay, so here's a fork.
So here's the fork,
Lake, and then
Meadow Creek.
Meadow Creek.
So the Meadow Creek is the one that probably goes, this is the one that goes up into the mountains. And it actually gives you a nice breakdown here on this map.
I'm gonna take a picture of that.
So I think that screw right there is meant to be like where we are. You can see the end of the lake right here. We're at the tip top of the lake. So this one that's straight ahead of us down this trail goes way, way up in the mountains. Look at that. It just goes way up there. Yep, nail indicates your location. It's a screw, but you know.
Well, it's 6:51. You think we can get back before sundown?
No.
I'm sure we can get a little bit of
We
ways
can
up
go
there,
a little
huh?
ways up there and then a little
Yeah.
ways back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just kind of see what it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, let's go.
We came down here by the bank of the stream. Once again, see if there's any signs of tracks.
It's really pretty over here.
It's very serene right here. Tranquil.
As I'm walking along the trail here, there's one thing I'm thinking about, and it's the fact that I have a tendency to look down at the ground, at the trail in front of me, because you never know what you're going to be tripping over or stepping on. You're looking out for things like poison ivy and snakes and things like that. But if you constantly have your eyes focused on the ground on the path in front of you, you're going to miss something when it comes to Bigfoot hunting. If you look out in the distance, you can see that this is the kind of area where there's not a lot of underbrush. There's a nice canopy and a variety of different trees, but you can see really far off in the distance. And this is the perfect place where you might be able to spot Bigfoot walking off in the distance, because I can see for probably 1/8 of a mile out here through these trees right now. And it only takes just a second or two for one to pass in view. And if you're looking down at the ground in front of you, you're definitely going to miss it.
And you know what else we missed? Was this path, because there's where we were
Yeah,
like an hour ago where that old dam was.
yeah.
And it's interesting because I was saying that right there would be a perfect place to set up a trail cam or something like that.
It really would.
And monitor that area down there, because that's where they would come for water.
Yes.
And it would also be perfect to be able to have a trail cam like right here, just pointing up into this area.
That's right.
That would be awesome to leave that there overnight and to see what happens.
It would.
Unfortunately, we packed light this time.
We did. We had to pack a little bit light, and we were in a rush to get out of the house and didn't take probably some of the things that we should have, but doesn't mean we can't still come out here and look for Bigfoot.
But
Now this is kind of interesting. So we got this little tree, not a very big tree, not a very old tree, but it's just grown up and somehow curved all the way over to the ground over there. And I haven't gotten a good look at what's actually pinning it down over there, or if there is something pinning it down.
Oh yeah, there's like, looks like there's like a tree standing up and it's like in that.
Yeah, but there is some bark that's been scraped off in a couple of places up this tree. Maybe just because of, it dying. But the fact that the bark has kind of fallen over the side of this tree, and somehow this tree is almost, in a sense, looks like it's glued to the one that's dying, the bigger tree that's dying.
Yeah.
Like, why is it stuck exactly in that position?
that is interesting.
It
'cause
is.
the bigger tree obviously didn't grow between that tree and the other one, right?
No, and it's interesting because you don't see too many trees that are curved over like that. There's another one back here, though. If you look from coming from our left and arcing over to our right, there's another one of these. But that one almost appears to be pinned down by one of these branches over here.
That's interesting.
Then if you look, there's another one crossing our path. So there's actually a couple of places in this area where the trees are starting to arc over for some reason. And I'd be interested, not necessarily thinking this is Bigfoot, but I would be interested in finding out what the reason is why a tree might naturally grow like that from one point, you know, arcing over like that to another point. Is there something that forces this tree not to grow up toward the sunlight like their natural instinct is to do?
What do you say, Scott? Any theories on that?
Pretty much what Linda said.
This one, just like the other one, is arcing out this way, coming around, touching another tree, and then arcing, almost wrapping around it in a sense.
And you know what else I noticed?
What?
You pointed out earlier how it's not common for
Trees to be right. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah. One right down in the crook of that. I would wonder if there were other instances where people have found formations like that in areas where there have been a lot of Bigfoot sightings. Is there something about the Y in the tree, the two trees that form a Y and grow together at the base, that they want to put a log through or put an old branch through like this?
it's a marker,
Yeah,
a place
it has
marker,
to be. You would
trail
think.
marker perhaps.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is an abnormal amount of bent branches going on around here.
So we got this guy named Jeffrey, and lives not too far from us. And he has a large piece of land out behind his house, and he always hunts the land. And he's talked about seeing Bigfoot on the land and finding things like what I'm about to show you now. This is interesting because this one tree branch that has grown out this way, or that's been fallen or been set this way, is going through this tree, this Y in the tree. And the only thing that's holding it down is this branch right here, because the second you lift this branch, that thing comes right up off of the ground like a fulcrum. It's almost balanced in there like that. And this is something that he has found on his own property a number of times. He said he came through and found something like this one time. He went back maybe a week or two later and it was gone. And came back a while after that, and the thing was right back in the same place again.
They say one lesson when you come into the forest is leave nothing but footprints. And I forget the rest, but there's something about taking in there.
Interestingly enough, this path goes across the creek, and it looks like there's been some larger stones right here along the path so that you could just kind of step right across it.
So when we come to a place like this, I just like to hurry up and get across and get it over with. I might fall in the water, I might not, but I just get it over with.
How? How's that fast? Is it because I checked the walks first?
Well, see, your daddy's lacking ass. He's very sure-footed. Me, not so much.
He seems.
He's losing his fronds there.
So I love paths like this that have all these ferns.
Yeah.
You know, I really like the ferns.
I do too. Such friendly little fern.
Looks like we're coming back up on the stream again.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
This would be the perfect place here. See if there's any kind of tracks.
Yeah.
Oh, and here is number 3. There he is. Oh man, look at this guy. Pretty cool coming down here, checking it out, seeing some interesting things here in the woods, perhaps. Not 100%, but definitely interesting. Because of the lack of daylight that we have left. We're very limited on daylight. That way keeps going into the mountains from our understanding. We're already in the mountains, of course, but it goes deeper into the mountains, perhaps into Bigfoot country. And it's definitely something that we need to check out when we have a little more daylight, or perhaps come back here with some night vision and a parabolic dish and see what we can find. That would be pretty cool as well. Do some observations and stuff back here. But right now, what we're doing is heading back through the ferns, and we're going up to our campsite to sit down and feast on meat, grilled meat, cooked on a grill over a fire made with wood, cardboard, and lighter fluid. And ladies and gentlemen, that is how you feast when you are on an expedition.
That one looks deliberately knocked over.
Yeah, this one is clearly like broken here. I mean, this didn't just rot and fall over. You can see they still have leaves on them.
Something.
But this, what would break this one tree right here like this?
And again, it comes out of the very center between one of the same kind of trees where you have 2 trees that have grown together at the base
Right.
and then split off.
A little bit of bark missing.
Yep.
That's right.
And you have another couple of branches that are pinning it down here. Look at that.
Whoa.
So that can't be a coincidence.
Oh.
That can't.
Like a lot of.
And look in the background, another
So many bent over
more curved tree.
trees.
Yep,
Why are
exactly.
there so many that are bent over?
Maybe there's lots of Bigfoot. Like there's a whole Bigfoot family.
And I almost wonder, like, we use signs. I wonder if these are directional signs of some sort. Like you've got this one tree broken over and it's falling in this direction, and then there's an arc over it. Is that intended to mean that there's a doorway, like in this is the direction that you need to go to get back to our house? You know?
Could be like a language of some kind.
Yeah, could be.
You wanna try?
Jeff, you want to try Bigfoot call?
I could do that.
It's a good time of the day for him. There's some campers freaking out right now. Ooh. Did you hear that?
It was a knock.
No.
What was it?
It was a short little whoop.
Was it? Did something growl?
I don't know.
Is Taco around here? So I'm thinking, if anything, it was probably a young Bigfoot that heard that first one and decided to respond. But then Mom either slapped him or he realized by the second whoop that it was not a legit Bigfoot.
See anything up on that ridge line?
Nope.
The ointment looks.
thing you can look for on the top of a ridge line is a silhouette.
That's right.
Moving up there. Easiest to find.
We'll try. Let's see if this is going to give us the right frequency here, but let's see. It's too soft of a stick, it just broke. Some works here. Is that one over there?
Almost sounded like thunder or something.
Yeah, I heard the thunder. Just before the thunder. Although it might be the water hitting on the rocks, kind of playing tricks. It didn't sound like... If it was... It didn't sound like a wood knock. It just sounded like a noise. Like a thumping noise.
I wasn't paying attention.
Huh?
I wasn't paying attention to it.
No idea wood knocking sticks around here, though. I mean, they're just...
Yep. I'll find some tougher ones.
Really cracks, you know. It's good to find a solid stick, one that's not too rotted, too wet and soft. And you also got to find the right tree to bang it against. I find that they work well. This is not a good example of a wood knocking stick, but I find that they work well around trees like this size, like this one right here. You get a fairly good sized tree branch that's not going to break on you if you hit it like a baseball bat, and you can usually get a pretty good sound off of something like that. So this is interesting. Okay, this could have just been old and fallen over perhaps, but we have this one that's coming down in the path right here, and this one is broken over. You can see it's somewhat fresh wood still inside, and to kind of show you, when you come down, it's still got leaves on it, so it's not dead. Something, and I'm not saying it's definitely paranormal or of a cryptid nature, but something caused this tree to fall over. And interestingly enough, just beyond it, what do we see back there? Another arched tree. Another tree that comes up and is arched over. And the proximity of these arched trees to these broken trees, at least for the past two, has just been something to note. Now, something's catching my eye a little further in the woods there. Do you see that? Where the trees have the white on them, and there's something that is kind of like bent over right there. And this camera doesn't have the best zoom, but you take out the binos and see what you see there.
Yeah, I don't see any movement. I don't see anything either. Somebody's hiding.
So interesting stuff, that's for sure. And like I said, not definitely something, but it's interesting. Are these markers? Are they here to point to a doorway beyond? And what kind of doorway is it? Some people think that Bigfoot is a trans-dimensional creature, which I'm not really sold on that. I think he's a legit, like, I'm not saying not saying anything about trans creatures. You know what I mean? If they're trans-dimensional or trans whatever, like, okay, they're legit creatures, yes. What I'm trying to say, though, is when I say legit creature, I mean, I think Bigfoot exists in this dimension. I think he's something that we haven't discovered yet, to the point where we've been able to put hands on and say, look, here he is. So what do you think? Is Bigfoot trans, or?
I could see why people say that. But he's definitely elusive. Nobody can seem to get close to him or them, whoever they are. But God.
So we've got these pecan smoked wings, and these are some of our favorite. They come from Walmart. I haven't seen them anywhere else. Not saying they're not available anywhere else, but they do have them at Walmart. We're not sponsored or endorsed by them by any means, but we're gonna put them in this pan that Scott brought here, right over the campfire, and that's where we're gonna cook these bad boys up. So I can't wait to get these things sizzling. And we got some buffalo sauce, some garlic parmesan. But stay tuned, because this is not the only dinner item that we have tonight. So yeah, we're using some Texas Pete wing sauce. Here, let's look at the texture of that stuff.
I like to rub mine in.
Yeah, it's
on
a
the
little
bottom.
runny.
Yeah.
It's a little more runny than the other kind that we used. I forget what the brand name was.
Yeah.
It was, was it Sweet Baby Ray's
Might have
we
been.
used to use?
Might have been. And what kind do you have here?
I have garlic parmesan. And this, I believe, is the Sweet Baby Ray's stuff. I'm just trying to make sure they're nicely coated. But I can show you the bottle here.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that this is going to be pretty amazing.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So-
Yeah, and
Looks
I would
pretty
like
good.
to have
Yeah.
that on my steak.
Yeah, it probably would be good on steak. It's a new flavor.
Yeah, this one's done. It's a thinner one, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. So how's it coming over here?
Coming pretty good. These are actually really, really good. They have a little bit of a crunch to the breading on the outside
Yeah.
because of the pecans. It keeps them nice and crunchy. Really, really good though.
Oh boy. So Scott, what do we got going on here?
We got a sirloin cooking.
Oh man, look at the size of that thing.
Yeah.
That looks and smells slightly amazing.
Yeah, it's got some Montreal seasoning on there. And
A little bit of butter.
a little bit of butter. And then the Montreal seasoning does most of the work with the cooking and the taste. Keeps the juices in there.
Yeah, yeah. That's, man.
Yep.
So a plethora of good food here tonight over the campfire, huh?
Oh yeah.
It's a nice chair you got there. I didn't know you liked the Phillies.
Oh yeah.
You like the Phillies?
So Jeff, what do you think about this T-bone?
This T-bone is the best steak I've had since like I can remember, and it's done Scott style over the grill, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Slightly amazing, I must say. That's a good steak.
I remember you char grilled it over there too. So we started out in the
did.
pan, and then you threw it over the open flame.
Yeah, because I like to eat the fat.
Yeah.
I think the fat has a lot of flavor in it.
It's a
I like
nice-
to kind of char that fat a little bit. And then if I can do that and still keep this like medium at least, that's pretty good.
Yeah. It's a nice touch.
So Scott, what kind of utensil are you eating with there?
This here is a fork used for the fire. You know, get some distance. But since we have a shortage of utensils, I don't really prefer the plastic knife or plastic forks either. So I just eat it like this. After I'm finished cooking everything with this fork, I just do it like this. It's a little bit of a balancing act, but it works. We got a sirloin in this bag, a T-bone in this bag, and so as a tactic to bait Bigfoot, I'm gonna go dangle it into the woods. Oh Bigfoot! Oh Bigfoot! You want some steak? Come and get it.
hear something down there. You hear that?
No. That steak. You know you want that steak. I did hear something down there. Thought I heard a footprint.
A footprint.
I mean a foot step.
A Bigfoot.
A Bigfoot step. Huh. Yeah, how do you hear footprints? I don't know.
You hear them being made, though, that's for sure.
Yeah, you can hear them being made, that's for sure. Yeah. What do you think? I don't think he's gonna buy it.
What we can do is just kind of leave the cooler out here and leave it open.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that'll lure them up.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe a bear will just come and eat it. I don't know. Probably more likely a bear. But then you got competition between bear and Bigfoot.
Yeah, I don't want to be here for that wrestling match.
No. Probably a bad idea.
So we're sitting here by the campfire late into the night, and Scott has some pretty interesting chips here that he's going to reveal.
So, this is the brand called Rat 11, and this is a local company here in Virginia. Well, we're in West Virginia right now, but over in Virginia, where we normally are. And so, this one has a story on the back. All these chips kind of have a little story on the back that you read. This one's unique. It says, "Get too close to Mama Zuma and you will get burned. This woman is determined to scorch everyone in her path. Mama Zuma's weapons are the hottest jalapenos and habanero peppers this side of the Rio Grande. Since she lost the love of her life in a bizarre and tragic potato peeler accident, Mama Zuma has been hell-bent on burning every mouth she kisses with her special brand of passion." So, would you like to try a Mama Zuma?
I wouldn't. I have to say for a second here that this kind of freaks me out because this is one of those things that almost seems like it's based on like this has a New Orleans voodoo kind of feel to it for some reason. I'm not sure exactly why that would have a reach all the way up to Route 11, because Route 11 is one of those that runs parallel to I-81 in the western part of Virginia. Route 11 doesn't have any ties to the Cajun culture of any sort, but there's something about this that freaks me out a little bit. And where'd they get the name Zuma? I mean, this is an actual person. Is this rooted in some sort of a voodoo culture? There's some story that they've come up with. Am I eating satanic chips at this point? Is kind of what is playing through my mind. Like, who makes these chips, and are these people satanic?
I don't think the Route 11 people
No.
dabble.
I don't think they're satanic.
This freaks me out just a little bit. Like, I have to say,
Well,
you
it's
know.
probably just the way I said it.
Yeah.
And it could be, but it may be the story on the back too. But I noticed that they're a kind of kettle cooked sort of chip.
A little bit.
They're thick. They're heartier than a normal potato chip.
Yeah.
This one has a nice coloration. Look at that, a nice red coloration to it. You could tell that this is something that's going to have a lot of flavor to it because of that red that's on it right now. And I'm kind of excited. Is something throwing stuff at us?
Mama Zuma.
That's the second time I've heard that, just in the past 5 minutes.
Yeah, Bigfoot's been known to throw little rocks and stuff
I
like
think
that.
something doesn't like the Bronco.
It doesn't like Scott dangling those stakes out there in the woods.
But I'm gonna try this satanic chip right now and see what this is about.
So it says hot habanero on the top. What level of heat are we talking here?
So
Medium.
it's about medium, yeah. So that I often end up getting these after lunch at work, and So after lunch at work, you know, you have to after lunch slumber, and I feel like taking a nap or siesta.
He works for the government.
And
See, they are the devil's chips.
and so one small bag of these will wake me back up, and I'm back to peak performance.
See, that hasn't happened. We've been sitting here for like 8 hours.
Yeah.
And that hasn't happened. They started with the Mamazumas.
Maybe these are.
You better
satanic
kiss those
chips.
fiery lips real
I
quick.
better eat one fast. Oh man.
Okay, those things are hot.
They pack a little heat to them.
They do pack a little
And
heat.
Do it.
There is a bit of sugar added to it, so it's actually kind of a sweet taste. And it's a barbecue.
Maybe
It's like
that's
a hot barbecue.
maybe that's like a medium high
Here
heat.
we go, Jeff.
Yeah, perhaps I
Those
should.
are quite spicy. Holy crap, those are hot.
I'm not going here. I don't want to try too many.
No,
Just
you
like
don't.
one of them.
Oh man, that's obnoxious. Oh man, that's gonna hurt.
Ooh,
Oh man,
not
it's
him.
just gonna
It's,
burn your lips like a.
it's not gonna hurt him.
Mm.
Trust me, it's not gonna hurt him at all.
Oh, okay. So yeah, as you go through the flavors, you can taste the barbecue, and
There's into barbecue.
yeah, and then eventually you start running into the habanero and a little bit of jalapeno.
I'm still recovering from that chip.
I end up eating the whole bag. It's just a smaller bag that I usually buy, and I actually cut it open, and I tear out. There's a bunch of little crumbs on the bottom and all the extra, you know, seasoning and stuff, and I end up just licking it.
So when
It's really good.
when you cut this open, are you using like a pair of scissors like a nerd, or are you using like a Bowie knife like a man?
I use an
Oh, you got a
NRA knife.
Oh,
Oh, nice. An NRA
This
knife.
is the
Yeah,
knife
see,
I
that
use.
qualifies.
I just cut it open at the seam. I know exactly which seams to cut it open it up flat open.
some precision there.
And
Yeah.
so one day I was going through this routine, and I was licking it, and then actually there was some of the habanero up on the top area, and it popped, and it got into my eye, and it was really burning really bad. So habanero in the eye is, you know, so it took me a while to finally flush that out.
I'm pretty sure that was Satan.
It definitely woke me up though. So,
I was gonna say, like, liberals probably don't do that kind of stuff.
I don't know.
Only people at
I don't work there.
So we're sitting around the fire here. And we heard something out there in the woods. That was an interesting call. Unfortunately, we don't have a camera running the whole time we're here. Just whenever I turn this one on, and of course it was so spur of the moment we couldn't catch it. And we'll have Linda kind of discuss what that was about. But leading up to that, there have been some interesting things at the campsite. Something kept hitting this tent. We thought it was perhaps things falling from the tree, but then something flew way past this tent over to where the Broncos parked and actually hit the Bronco.
almost like a small pebble.
How would you describe that call?
It was kind of like it was a great variation in tone. It was almost like a woo, ooh. You know, it was like a strange sound that I can honestly say I've never heard ever before. And it was a single call. It wasn't just 2 or 3 in a row like you would hear from a mating sound from a normal animal. It was just that one time that it actually did that the whole time we've been sitting here. And again, it was like 2 or 3 different little pebbles hitting the tent, 2 or 3 hitting the Bronco. I think something's lobbing pebbles, small pebbles, in our direction.
Is this characteristic of Sasquatch?
Very characteristic. Very characteristic. This is something that you would normally hear a call out in the distance, a single call. You would have stones lobbed at you, sometimes as big as, your head, if you're too close to it or to its territory, and other times as small as a pebble, if it's maybe perhaps trying to get your attention or trying to say, hey, I'm here, without being too overt about it. But strange situation, because we're out here in the middle of the woods. We're probably the only ones awake at this point. And there were so many tree formations out there when we were walking around down these trails earlier today. And it makes you wonder about these potential Sasquatch. Are they out there making these tree formations? And if so, what is their purpose behind them? If it makes this call, what is the purpose behind that? It's got to be some sort of signal to other Sasquatch that, hey, I'm here. This is where I'm at. But I have to say that call was unlike anything I've ever heard. And I've been out here in Virginia, West Virginia. I've been in this area along the eastern seaboard all my life. And this is not something I've ever heard before. It had such a variation in tones of its voice that it was just really, really odd. And the fact that it was just one single call, we haven't heard it again, haven't heard it before that. It's definitely something notable.
All right, so we gotta find a way to show this thing like peace, at least between you and the Bronco. Please don't throw a rock the size of my head at the Bronco.
Yeah, that thing's expensive.
What you need to do is probably leave a little bit of food, okay? We need to think about what we've got in our supplies, what we can leave for this thing. And I've heard that they like things that are a little bit unique, like garlic, You take something that we don't normally have, Montreal steak seasoning. We open up the top of it and we leave it sitting out there in the wild, a little ways away from our campsite, and see if perhaps this thing has any interest in the Montreal steak seasoning.
Oh,
Or
I
the
know what you could leave.
Mama Zuma Trail.
There you go.
Yeah.
Or some Scooby snacks.
Yeah. Scooby snacks.
Should we try it?
Yeah, let's
All
do
right,
it.
If you
let's do
leave
it.
the Momozumas, it's going to come and kill us in the middle of the night.
It probably would take that offensive.
Yeah, it probably will.
That's an offense.
Can't feeding that poor Sasquatch satanic chips.
We don't want to mess with Sasquatch.
Yeah. And then you hear them out there pooping in the middle of the night, too.
Yeah, and it'll burn, too.
No, it will. Maybe we should leave them the wipes next to the Momozumas. What is what?
That light.
What's this light?
That's bright.
Yeah.
It's going to see that.
Linda threw some peanuts down there.
Sweet and spicy, to be exact. I'm not sure it's going to like sweet and spicy peanuts. I kind of think it would prefer some peanut butter.
Perhaps.
And that's one of the things I actually want to do is when we go out on a Bigfoot expedition, I want to take a jar of peanut butter and I want to tie a rope around the actual jar and string it up in a tree. And I want to take the lid of it and leave it on, because if you think that Bigfoot is intelligent in any way, then you've got to assume that this Bigfoot has the ability to unscrew the jar of peanut butter, and actually get down to the peanut butter inside. That's not something that it's going to find out in nature. That may be something that it finds like very appealing, and eventually it would figure out how to get into this jar. So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is maybe I have this theory that Bigfoot really likes peanut butter, and that maybe we could tie this thing around, string it up to where a bear couldn't get to it, or any other bird, and string it up and leave it there overnight. And we could have done that out on that trail if we had a jar of peanut butter with us. If we were well equipped, we could have actually had that jar of peanut butter, strung it up in a tree out on that trail, and left it and gone back there over like tomorrow morning and seen if there was any change to it, if this lid was unscrewed. That's something I definitely want to try, because if you leave an apple on the ground out there, you never know what kind of wildlife is going to get to that apple. Anything else, but if you string it up in a tree with a rope like this, whatever gets to that thing at a great distance above its head, let's say about 10 feet above its head, there's nothing else that's going to get to that except for a Bigfoot.
Yo, what if you encountered Bigfoot and rubbed peanut butter on his nose? You think he tried to lick it off like a dog, or like his tongue would keep coming out trying to lick his nose?
He would, and that'd be the cutest thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, you kind of want to tickle him and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But right now, it's freaky because you can't hear it over the sound of the fire. Like the fire kicked up because we threw some wood on it. But right when we threw that wood on the fire, before it started to kick up, there were some, I don't know, it could have just been normal.
Movement. It was just movement.
There was movement in the woods, 100%. And it could have been, of course, natural animals. You know, we haven't seen any.
But the thing about it is, if there's a Bigfoot out there, it's learned how to step through the woods without making a sound. It learned how to do that from the Native Americans. So it's gonna move around. It's not gonna move around making any sound. It's gonna move around with silence.
So good, that's not Bigfoot then.
Yeah, most likely not Bigfoot, but Bigfoot could still be out there. It's just not loud enough for us to hear.
That's got to be pretty good. I mean, there's a lot of leaves and all kinds of stuff that we were making noise with when we were out there. So
Yeah,
that's pretty talented if you can move through woods without making noise.
it is.
Absolutely.
It is. That's where moccasins come into play. I have a pair of moccasins. See these shoes that we wear as white people make a lot of noise.
Caucasians?
Like Caucasians. They make a lot of noise, right? You walk through the woods, you've got these kind of rubberized sort of like soles on your shoes. But I have a pair of moccasins that don't have any sole on them. They're called Minnetonka is the name brand. And you tie them up, you walk out in the woods, you have kind of this one with nature sort of feel. Because when you walk across the earth, you feel the earth between beneath your feet, more like what the Native Americans would have felt. And but it also allows you to actually walk through the leaves with a little bit of a quieter step. And I think if you were well trained in this, if you were raised out here in the wild, you would be able to do that much better than we can right now, even with a pair of Minnetonka moccasins on your feet.
Look, I come out here walking barefoot and still make a bunch of noise walking through these leaves.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, because we're not trained. We're not trained in this. We're not raised in this environment.
Scott, what are you doing there?
Eating breakfast.
Yeah. What's for breakfast today?
Had some bacon and eggs. And some peppers. Cooked by yourself. Fine chef. Yeah, life is good.
Yeah, well, thank you. And that's quite a substantial fork, the one from last night, the steak fork.
Uh-huh. This is how I eat when I camp.
You know, you might want to take that back to civilization with you. That could be a thing. Next thing you know, you have a bunch of people eating with steak forks.
Big giant steak forks.
Yeah.
At the table. Maybe.
That's a good idea. I mean, that seems like the only proper way to have a feast.
Yeah, well, it's not as efficient, with little crumbs, but I mean, depends on what you're eating, I guess. See, I got this.
So some interesting things last night.
Definitely some interesting things. That call, I wish we'd had it on video. Wish we could have recorded it. That strange sound out in the woods. And it was just the single one. That's what got me, is just it never happened again, you know. Definitely some odd sounds coming out of the woods last night. And combined with the fact that seemed like it was coming right from the area where they had all those tree formations that we saw yesterday when we were hiking. You know, I'm pretty convinced there's something out in those woods. Bigfoot.
I think it stuck around this morning.
Because when I took a sick, so we went over to that campsite that's empty over there, looking for some extra firewood, and I found this poker stick. It was a little bit thicker than a normal one, and I knocked it against a tree, and then I got like a knock back.
I heard it too. Faintly. But I heard it.
What direction did it seem to come from?
Same direction, right out there. Like,
Really?
Like somebody's just hanging out over that ridge.
Yeah. Huh.
Watching us.
That's interesting. Yeah, overall, I would think it was a pretty good expedition because, you know, we found so many of those tree formations out in the woods, and, you know, I think it was pretty successful hearing those sounds in the woods. That's more than you usually get from an investigation like this.
I also noticed a possible tree formation right here, right behind us,
Oh, really?
next to the restrooms. I don't know if that's just something different. It definitely looks like a tree fallen in a constructive way.
Huh.
You talking like that X?
Yeah, that X over there.
That's
You walk over there closer, it kind of looks like one's placed like in between another branch.
Huh.
And I noticed that going to the restroom this morning. I'm like, huh. I don't remember seeing that before. We came. Of course, I wasn't really paying attention to it, so it might have been already there. But I don't know if you guys noticed it.
That's weird.
Did you guys notice it?
So we made it out of the Monongahela. No?
Monongahela? What is it?
Monongahela.
Monongahela State Forest, National Forest. We made it out of there alive. None of us became a meal for Bigfoot last night, though there were some interesting things that happened, right?
Yeah.
Some interesting things throughout the night. But it's definitely a really cool place to camp. Some things to note: if you get up there, they expect you to be set up before dark. They close the gate at 9:00 p.m. and open it at 7 in the morning. And if you're staying there, you can still get out. They just give you a code, gate code, to put in like a combination type lock. There are grills on the fire rings, which are pretty cool, right? The lake is an awesome place to swim. It really is. The one lady told us that they drain the lake every winter to get rid of the lily pads because they have a lily pad problem.
You don't get cell reception there.
No cell reception. The whole time we were there,
Except
not
for
one bit of cell
little spot
reception.
that they told us about down
Yeah.
by the boat ramp or something.
She said if you go down by the lake where the people are swimming, you go up the road just a little bit, there's one spot where you can get cell reception, and that's it. But definitely a place we would return to.
Oh yeah,
Looking forward to going back there.
The bathrooms leave a little to be desired. It's kind of an old facility, but you know they were very clean, I have to say. Even though there was like rust spots all over the place on some of the, you know, the dividers for the little bathroom stalls. But supposedly they're going to be getting new bathrooms pretty soon here too. So
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.